Yorp, 'tis I. We're down the back of the senior ELT, and we're in the Goobries, the electrics. So it says on the cover, high voltage, link A1, B1 and C1. So 3-phase, high voltage, they're all linked. So we're set up now with our 3 terminals to bring our cable in, thanks to TEP, Darlow, and get this hooked up. Bearings sound great. There's no oilers on there, they're sealed bearings. It's free, there's no slop in it, so the motor's real happy. Right, we're wired in, it looks pretty tidy, so I'm good with that. And there's your motor housing, pretty cleaned up, pretty tidy. We're going to bolt the motor back on and then get up top. I am stuck behind this blooming thing. Right. Okay, so we're back in. We've got new power cable going in to the starter box. Looks pretty nice and tidy, so we're happy with that, and we are one step closer. Yeah, so work that one out. Oh, they put a dipstick on this gearbox so I can check my oil level. How much fun's that? Okay, to get to the rear bearing, take the top pulley off. I'm going to remove this yoke here. It's got 2 pulleys on it. Happy days. Off comes the bearing cover, and this is how you put the preload. That's gone tight. The preload on the bearing. So to take this off, it screws that away. This cap head was tight as out. Took a T-wrench to get it. Right, off. Right, so off that comes. I've cleaned all the goop out of there. I'm going to refill it and refill it and then tension it up again. These are 0.25 inch, quarter inch holes for a wrench to get in and grip in. So to get this off, I've made a little Goobries that fits over, and I use 6mm dowel pins to give me a little bit of wiggle room. The bolt circle diameter, weirdly, was 1.776, which means it's a radius of 0.888 inches, which is madness. Anyway, okay, so we've whacked this tight. I've tightened it off just here. I'm not going to put the covers back on yet because I'm going to run the machine. I'm pulling the machine backwards and forwards. There's no woggle on there, but it's moving quite freely. So I think we're good. We'll see. I can run the machine, just the spindle, without putting the paraphernalia back on. So that's what I'm going to do, just run the spindle a bit, let it bed in, and then maybe loosen it and retension on this preload nut. So where we're up to, we've run the spindle flat out for 10 minutes. Things got a bit hotted up, so I've backed this right off this tensioning nut, and then just run it, made sure it ran cool, and then I'm just putting this back on. You know, I've got this spindle wrench. The diameter of the centres is 1.776 inches, you know, radius 0.888. No idea why, but I do know that it's snug as a bug, so that's a real good fit. So I'm just going to tighten this back down, put the cap back on, and then we'll monitor the whole thing. Crikes. Okay, we've been running this for a bit now, and I've put the overarm support on, precision bearing, same arbor. And we, you know, it's woggle goggling, it's not doing much. Oiler cup doing good. Spindle doing good. So that looks like a bob-on horizontal mill, really does. I've refitted this drive shaft, I've brazed it up. When you look at the gearbox, between the low and high there is a detent for a neutral. So I've got a detent for a neutral in there, that's great. So happy days there. We've gone inside the unit. I wasn't sure if this was receiving oil. I kept pumping oil in, no oil came dripping out. So the reduction gears run on a counter shaft like so. When they're engaged, they're held in this position by this boss, and then it disengages and moves into an out position. This stays still. Disengage to an out position where we've got the just a straight drive, so the bull gear's disengaged. So good. So that actually fits on this shaft here. The bottom shaft where the drive comes in has got an eccentric bushing, and you can see it's quite off centre, narrow that side, wide that side, and as this rotates, this shaft moves higher and lower. This front side had both sides have got little cover plates on, covering up a big bearing on either side. So I've gooped out all the goo. I'm going to repack all of this, refit the eccentric bearing into the housing. Now, this has not had any oil on it since forever, so I'll put a little oil ways just into the bush. So you've got your jam nut sitting in your bushing mount, which sits at the back of the machine. This bolt, hang on, so this bolt here engages this groove, and there's a tensioning screw here that makes sure that it moves with the right feeling. There's a tensioning ring which goes nuggling up tight on the eccentric bearing. On the tensioning ring there's a ball detent and screw here, and then that ball detent is going to engage this little divot here. So when you take this to pieces, first take the detent out, then unlock your adjustment ring, then take that out. This is my counter shaft here. That's your flat for this bad boy. So we'll slide our gear back on. We won't drop the gear. Do not drop the gear. So there's the gear going back on. And next up, the selector assembly is going on. So I'm going to work out where the little flat is, where I want this knockoff to be, so I can get it nice and easily. It's in the disengaged position now, so he wants to sit about there, and I'll work out where that goes. Excellent. Bear with. So by adjusting the position of the grub screw, I've got my detent so that I can easily move this out, and that gives me my locked position there. And locked position there. So I just want to come a little bit further this way, but I'm in the right position. I've got a good handle on that. Sometimes you find them with the adjuster round the back, which is a nuisance. Thanks very much, Dad's grease gun. We're injecting grease into the bearing, and then we're going to put the cover plates on. Okay, cover plate on at that end, and we're going to just ram as much grease in as I can. I've got as much as the old stuff out as I can. Okay, so the back gear enclosure is all done, the drive's done, so the back end of the machine's nice, tidy, sorted. On the front end we've got a cover for the ways. Ooh! While I was moving the machine around, I was doing it with levers and crowbars and stuff, and I thought, I'll get myself a toe jack. This is the cheapest eBay variety. lock it up, lock off the hydraulic there, pump, and the thing will slowly rise. The key, which it doesn't tell you it does it, but the handle can come, you know, from both sides. So absolutely fab. On the toe, or what they call the claw, the jaw, it can lift 2.5 tons. So absolutely superb. So that's cheap as chips. Well worth it. Much easier than the other way. The handle's diabolical, but what the heck. That borrow machine is mostly serviced. I'm going to fiddle around, finish up on the knucklehead, but I'm gonna get in.